Hello, fellow Lightseekers. Kamikaze here with next part of my Kindred starter deck reviews or overviews, whatever you want to call them. Today is Mountain Elemental Engagement. So on the website, you just have like a little thing where they show off Cinderbranch, who's the new hero for the starter deck. Talk a little bit about what his kind of gimmicks are, a little bit of what you can do, and then gives some lore for him. So if you guys are big lore buffs, right there. They also show off one of the key cards for the deck. We'll talk about this one later. Classic Getaway I think is super good, not only for this deck, but if you want to go into this sort of family archetype of Elemental. And then, the whole deck list. So, if you do want to make this deck on your own, here's the list. And for new players and people that don't really want to just read and go on the database, I have the little cheat sheet here. So let's zoom in and get to talking about it. So, Cinderbranch, as we've seen already, superior in fire and 31 health, really, really nice. And its ability is you deal 2 damage to target if you played a fire card this turn. So, without looking at anything else, go here to the little cheat sheet area. 11 fire cards in the deck. So it's really easy to get off playing a fire card and then using his ability. And I love that this is in a starter deck because it shows new players that it isn't just play a card, draw a card, or draw 2 cards, or play 2 cards for your actions. You're able to also use abilities. And Cinderbranch is a very proactive one. If a big portion of your deck relies on fire, you're able to play fire and then use abilities, so it gives new players different variants in the game. Onto combos. Inferno, basic 10 damage. Double fire, makes sense if he's superior in fire. Pretty straightforward card. Crushing Blow, 1 of each element, 9 damage, and then you remove equipped item. It's weird that it's in the starter deck, but it's really cool that, say if you want to branch out of the starter decks, and a lot of people like splashing in other elements, so they have to use an item to put that element in. Crushing Blow is perfect, that you could just take it out of the starter deck, put it in your own mountain deck, and then you have a answer to the multi-order decks. Rockhide Revenge, double earth and crystal. Really straightforward card. I like in the starter decks that they put these time bombs in. Like in Forest, they put Treetop Tribunal. So like I really enjoy these. Like there's something on the board that you have to either try to prevent or try to slow down as much as you can. So it's really cool. It's just first 3 corners reduces damage, and then the 4th corner just hits someone for 8. Really, really nice. Shumatantos, probably the most like vanilla mountain combo. 1 of each element, and then 7 healing, 6 damage. Very straightforward. And then Scorched Earth is the rare 4-cost combo that they decided to go for. Deals corner damage, and then discard the top card of your opponent's deck. I'm a big fan of like milling in games, and I really enjoy that Lightseekers has very few instances of graveyard manipulation. Like a lot of decks suffer from it unless like you put like 3 or 4 key cards to like cycle in your graveyard. So it's really cool that they put this big combo to start milling, because technically you can mill 4 cards of your opponent's deck, which is really important. Say if you mill a combo, it's really, really nice. If you mill like some sort of healing off them, it's really, really good. It's interesting that they put this in the starter deck, but I really like that it introduces milling, because milling is I wouldn't say popular archetype in card games, but it is a strategy that people like building. So it's really cool that they introduced that in the starter deck for Mountain. So onto the main like gimmick of this deck, since it's called Elemental Engagement. Here are the element cards. I split them up on the left side of the element cards. In the center right here are the cards that help with the elements. And then on the right are the other cards. So I'm just going to leave the elements to the side. Like we'll work on the elements secondary, and then first we'll just go on the cards on the right. So first we have, like, I want to say the new vanilla, like, fire card, Draga Scorcher. Just corner 1, nothing. Corner 2, 6 damage. Just really straightforward, really nice. You just put a mini bomb on the field. Your opponent either has to armor up or try to remove it, or just take the 6 damage. And then Swift Pyre. Pyre? Nothing, and then 3 damage, draw a card. It's kind of like an Ancient Miner. Sort of, I guess. Like, not really, but it is a little draw engine. It's cute. I like the card art. It's like this little angry flame goblin man thing. I don't know. Real cute. Um, then onto Earth, we have Boulder Feast, healing, flat out. Just there's no secondary effect. It's just 6 burst heal. Really nice. 2 copies of Mountain Fort, reduces damage for the each corner. It's nice, but it's not really like Dolo nice. Because like when you play this, like you can play this and then use Dolo ability, rotate this for free, and then just draw cards. And then if your opponent doesn't hit you, you could just Dolo again, draw more cards. But really nice. They need all the starter decks have damage reduction. So Rickety Mine, which is another rare card that they put in this deck, I really like. First corner does nothing. Corners 2 and 3 heal you, and then corner 4 does damage. So full rotation is 4 healing for you, 4 damage to them. Really nice. Colossi Idols is a mythic card. 4 healing. While this card is on the top of your discard pile, heroes can't play combos. So if you play this intelligently, like towards the mid game, or if you see your opponent's like, having a big hand, just throw this on the just play this card, get 4 healing, and then try to keep it on the top of your discard. That way they can't play combos, and you can maybe start accruing cards in your hand. So when it's time for you to have one of your combos rotate out on your turn, then that combo will be in the graveyard and you're able to use combos. It's really cool. I like this in a starter deck because it forces both new players and already experienced players to pay more attention to graveyard manipulation in Mountain when that's usually a natural thing. So I really, really enjoy that. Crystal has Crystal Leech, of course, just buff removal. 3 of, need that in all starter decks. Prism Cannon, just nothing, 8 damage. Again, it's a time bomb, the classic time bomb in Lightseekers, so really nice. And then Crystal Bat, which I think is like one of the weirder cards for this deck because it's 3 damage, 3 healing for yourself. You don't have the combo where I forgot the name of the card where it's Crystal Bat and then the card does 6 damage if you heal this turn instead of 3. So it's like weird that that's not here, but it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Just fills out the deck. And then you go on to elementals. So elementals is like the family that they want to push with the Mountain deck. So first off is Flame Chain Warrior for 2 copies of 4 damage, and then rotate one of your recipient's action buffs 1 step backwards or forward. So you hit 4 damage on them, and then you choose to rotate one of their buffs forward or backwards. So you could, maybe force them, like if they have a damage reduction card, you can force them to, how do you say it? Say if they have like a Yukona Oracle where it's on 3 armor, you hit them for 1, and then you can rotate their buff faster out. It's just really nice. You can force your opponent to mess up their combos. Say if they want a certain combo to rotate on a corner because they have a card in their hand to buff something. It's really, really nice. Flame Chain Inferno, first 3 corners are nothing, and then the last corner is 5. So instead of discarding for the first 3 corners, you store elemental cards under this. And then on the final corner, you increase the damage for each stored card. Really, really cool card. I think this card is really sick. Just not for this deck in particular because there's so little elementals. There's only, outside of him, are 2, 4, 5. So it's not, you're really not getting that much bang for it. As you see, all the other cards are really like beasts or their locations. So it's not really, it's not really that impactful. But again, 5 damage is really nice. So it is kind of like another bomb. It is another Colossi Cannon. So all you need are like 1 or 2 cards underneath it. So it's really, really nice. Pyro Fiend is 2 damage, and then you move 2 different fire action buffs from your hand into play. So if you want, you can move a Flame Chain Inferno, and you can move a Draga Scorcher, or you can move like a Draga Scorcher and a Pyre. So on the next turn, you rotate, you deal 9 damage and draw a card. I think this card's really good if you are building a fire deck. Pyro Fiend is maybe you would want to include 3 of. I think this card is really cool. It sets up a lot of stuff, and it kind of gives Mountain a mini Sicario kind of thing, where you can move buffs from your hand into play without paying life. You literally just do 2 damage, you waste an action, and you put just flood the board with a lot of buffs. Smoldering Bruiser is the last elemental, and it's damage to other heroes by passes 1 point of damage reduction. Interesting. I think this card is real interesting. So, for example, let's go Mountain Fort, right? If they have Mountain Fort in the field on corner 1, they reduce 3 damage, but Smoldering Bruiser reduces that damage, or that armor reduction by 1. So basically your damage bypasses 2 of their armor. It's cool. I don't know how good it is overall. The card art's sick. I like this guy just getting ready to do his big Iron Man punch. But it's fine. And onto the support for the elementals. So Lava Tamer is Earth, 3 damage, and then you move 1 Fire Elemental card from your deck to your hand. Really good. Again, if you want to make an Elemental deck, this is the perfect 3 of. It's a tutor. So there's very little cards in Lightseekers that are tutors. So it kind of sucks that it's specifically a Fire Elemental. So, but there are, again, if you want to get the ball rolling, Flame Chain Inferno is really good. If you need a Flame Chain Warrior, it's super useful. And then again with Kindred, they added more. They added more elementals that aren't in the starter deck. So there's plenty of ideas to play with this deck or with that card. And then Colossi Getaway, it's clunky 3 crystal card, and then it's burned. So once it goes to the graveyard, you can't manipulate it. You can't play with it anymore. And then defendability, move discarded elemental cards to your hand and expire this buff. So really good. I love that there's 2 of. This is the key card and it's 2 of, so you can constantly just cycle your cards. Say Flame Chain Inferno procs and rotates out. It had 2 cards underneath it, so it did a total of 7 damage. Well, now you just using a defendability for Classic Getaway and get those cards right back. All 3 of them are right back in your hand. Really, really nice. And then, say if you get 3, because we're using the starter deck, right? We have 3 Fire Elemental cards in your hand. So now, following turn, you could play Inferno. Just 10 damage right out of the gate. Really, really cool. I like the synergy that they're introducing with the elementals. There's a lot of cool stuff, and we can definitely do this. Let's go to the database. And again, I know this is a starter deck overview, but for people, if you're super interested in this deck, the overview, the card database is perfect. So right here, I just went to Mountain. I went all the way to Fire, Earth, Crystal, and then I'm going to go into Elementals. All right. So these are all the Elementals that are available in Lightseekers right now. So, if you open up a couple packs and you see that you want one of these, you could definitely get a Flame Bat, right? So you play Colossi Getaway, right, on 1 turn, and then you Flame Bat for 5 damage. Alright. Following turn, you can proc Colossi Getaway, get all your elemental cards back, and play another Flame Bat. So in 2 turns, you did 10 damage total, and you got a couple cards back in your hand. Really, really nice. So I really like that these Kindred starter decks are introducing just a bunch of cool ideas and continue the idea of wanting to continue the family aspect. Because again, you don't have to go into the family line of elementals for this mountain deck. Like with Cinderbranch, he definitely isn't an elemental hero. He's more of a fire, right? You want to use fire, and you want to probably abuse fire in your deck. So you can definitely branch out of the elemental path and just go purely into fire. So it's really, really cool. But you would probably want to continue with the fire because Lava Tamer is a tutor, right? Lava Tamer, he gets you an elemental card, but he gets you a fire card, which is super useful for Cinderbranch. And before I end, just talk about the on the lines. Umbra Barkeep, 2 healing, draw 2 cards. Enemies holding more cards than you. It's pretty straightforward, simple. And then Citadel Safe House, which I think is one of the cooler starter deck underline cards. Corner 1 is defendability to draw a card, and then corner 2, your opponent can't deal more than that damage to you. So he can't do more than 3 damage to you. So it's really, really cool. Like, if you see your opponent has a lot of cards in their hand and you might think they drop a buff, like in a couple turns, you could safe house, and then the next turn you get defend ability, draw, and then the following turn, 3 damage. That's it. That's all they could deal. That's the highest they could deal to you. So it's really like you know, close the gate, and as much damage as they want to do, they can't bypass that. It's really, really sick. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think this deck is really cool. I don't think it's the Dolo deck, because Dolo is just so influential and so like Lightseekers in a sense. But I think this deck is super fun, and it does introduce a lot of cool ideas of going pure fire or going more elemental. So if you guys do play this deck, tell me how you guys would go, like after playing with the starter deck for more. Like, would you go for more fire heavy to proc Cinder Branch passive more, or would you go more elemental to just flood the board with like Flame Chain Inferno and Pyro Fiend? But again, thanks guys for watching. I'll come back with another video pretty soon.